Okay, so like I mentioned, I'm going to go ahead and show you all a few things on Google Blackboard. Before I go ahead and introduce myself. I'm going to introduce myself, but I'm going to show you a couple of things on Google Blackboard because that's probably just show you a couple of things about all the platforms that we're going to be using, and then I will go ahead and introduce myself. And then I would ask every one of you to also probably just type in where you're reaching out from. That would be good. Just introduce yourself so that others can see who you are and where you're coming from. So while I try to bring up my screen, I like you to do that. Just go ahead, introduce yourself, tell us where you're coming from. Now, for those of you that have joined Discord already, and I'm going to show you some of the functionalities of Discord. I understand not every single person has used Discord before, which is okay, but it's going to be very helpful for us for this class particularly. So um, go ahead and keep dropping the information in the chat box if you may, and I'm going to share my screen at this time. So this is my screen. Just give me a minute and I'm going to show you. So I want to think everybody can see my screen at this time, right? When you get into Google Classroom, one of the things you're going to see is, so this is, and I hope you have the same view with me. So this is my Google Classroom, right? And then this is the data science class. When you come in here, you're going to see a couple of things. The first thing you're going to see is stream. Then there is classroom, and then you have people and you have marks. So this is where, for example, if we have assignments that you need to turn in, I'm going to set some of those up here. Because of the really large size of the class, I might have to make a lot of them multiple choice. And then for some of the more intensive assignments, you might have to work together in groups. So, but so the key three tabs that would be really important will be stream, classroom, and then marks, right? Stream is essentially where you're going to find a lot of the announcements that will be made. So for example, I sent out the meeting invite for today, right? It's there. This is where I set up the whole thing about Discord. This is it. If you can look it up under stream. And then this is where I did the welcome email. So all of that information can be found in stream. If you're not comfortable with this and you haven't used it before, or you just don't know that's where I'm dropping the information, you can find all of that here. So you go to stream and then you scroll down and you get all of that information. And then, of course, classroom is where you would find everything about the classes that we are taking. And I'm going to show you. Let me go through this way so you can see a little more clearly what's going on here. So one of the things I had done, and I doubt a lot of people have completed this. I wanted a week zero, which is before we start the classes, right? There's a lot of information here that I wanted us to get started with, and the reason why I want you to get started with it is data science is actually a practice. It's not just an art or science; it's also a practice. And as part of it being a practice, you have a couple of tools that you need to use. So one of the things I've done in week one is to just drop a lot of material there, right? Especially tools of the trade. And I pointed you to videos. I went through a couple of videos and I thought up some thoughts, happened on some videos that I thought would be very helpful. So in case we mention something and you don't know how to go about it, you can always go in there and find the information that you need and do a quick review of that subject. And then it would help you. And I say this in terms of, let me show you. Sorry, that's some communication. Let me show you, go back again to classroom. So these are some of the videos. Pandas. There's something about pandas. There's NumPy. There is Matplotlib. And these are some of the things you'll be hearing. Don't get overwhelmed, but I just dropped them here in case you might need them. They are essentially tutorials that can help you understand these courses. That's one bit of it. And then if you keep going down, it's supposed to be an eight-week class. So for each week, you have a learning objective for that week. If you go in there, you're going to see what the objectives are, and then the various topics that will be covered in for that particular week. And then the second week, same thing, third week, fourth week, fifth week, sixth week, seventh week, and then the eighth week. It's going to be essentially that way. So right now, what I've set up the class for is two hours. Frankly, I doubt that 2 hours will be enough to do everything that we need to do. But I think we are going to proceed this way. Maybe later in the class, we might have to increase the time from 2 to 3 hours. Um, and I know I do understand that that's a lot of time, but frankly, I looked at the entire data science course to which most of you are enrolled, and I saw that this is one of the main data science classes there. The other thing I see there around data science is ethics. That would have been data science ethics. That's what I would have put in week 7, but I didn't include it in week 7 because I see there is, and it's a very, very important topic in data science and AI, so I didn't include it in this course. But the bulk, the heavy lift, right, of data science is going to be in this class. So what I would tell you is that this class is going to be kind of intensive. It's not going to be hard, but it will be intensive. If you do a lot of the things that I would ask you to do, you wouldn't have any problems at all. And if you do have problems, that's where the Discord channel becomes very important. You need to be able to reach out to me and I have a co-instructor, Dr. Nessa today. I don't know if she's here right now. She would have to introduce herself at some point. So she's here, and I also have a student. Um, a computer science student that is going to be helping as an intern or like a teaching assistant, right? And is going to help us at least in one topic to help set up one of the tools. I don't know how many of you have gone through. So one of the things I required you to set up is Anaconda because we're going to be using a Jupyter Lab a lot. Now, if you have set up Anaconda, or if you haven't set up Anaconda, I might after this class, because I don't want to take every other person's time. It might be good for you to probably stay put for a little time, especially if you have any challenge setting it up, because we already have all the information about how to set it up on week 0. But if you particularly have a challenge setting it up, please, you might want to wait immediately after the class is over so that I can look at what your challenge is and see if there's any way I can help you. So that's where we are with that. Um, for Discord, I'm going to show us, probably let me share my screen too and show us Discord because I'm going to show us a couple of things on Discord. I'm going to open up Discord. So this is the Discord channel. I don't know if you can see the Discord channel for some of you. So this is the Discord channel. Once you get into the Discord channel, and I've also dropped some tutorials of how, and you can, I mean, there's a lot of information on Discord. If you don't understand Discord already, you can just check that on YouTube. But I've also dropped tutorials on how to work Discord, but I'm going to do a quick walkthrough to just show you what Discord is about. So, like I said, it's essentially a very useful tool, right, for community. So one of the things you're going to see if you sign up, and every one of you can sign up, you can sign up on the laptop, you can sign up on your phone, and then you can get notifications, you can put in your own information and all of that. Sometimes it can look overwhelming, and that's why I want to walk you through this because it's actually not overwhelming at all. So what you have on this end, if you can see my arrow, right? These are what you call servers, right? So I have a couple of servers that so if you click any one of them, it will take you to the specific server, right? So for us, if you see this particular, the white tab there, right? That white one is the Osiri Data Science and Analytics course. So this is what you have here, right? That's so if you click this is Osiri. If I click this is something else. In Center for Industry Solutions. So this has nothing to do with you. And this is some work I do with IBM. That's completely different from this. You can see a whole bunch of things. So I go back to Osiri. This is Osiri here. When you come into Osiri, right, you have all of these things that are like hash this, hash that, hash this, hash that, right? They are all what we call channels. So once you come in, you have and then they've been aggregated into different channels, right, that have common functions. So under information, these are all the channels under information, right? So and then you have another set of channels, and then you have a third set of channels, and then a fourth channel. So for the groupings, right, there is no hash for the groupings. Just one minute. My co-instructor is calling. Let me just figure out what's going on. Hello?
No.
Hello? Yeah, sorry about that. So
Yes.
just 1 minute. Is the co-instructor I think she's having some issues with the platforms trying to do something. All right. So, like I mentioned, right? So, if you come in here, one of the things you're going to see, this is you click welcome and rules. Once you come in here, it just tells you what the rules of the platform are. You know, it will tell you what the rules of the platform are. You can see all of those here. So my point is each of these channels, right, have specific functions. If you go in there, it will tell you what the functions are. So this is welcome. So take your time, click each of them and just read what you have there, right? Here it just tells you how to engage on the platform, what the platform is, what each of the channels are, and some of the community guidelines. The next one is announcements. This is where we'll make all kinds of announcements, right? So this is where I put, for example, some tutorials about Discord if you want to watch it. And this is for those of you that haven't installed which I'm gonna call it now, you haven't installed Anaconda, this is where you will find videos. So anytime you're looking to find out, hey, what's announcements have been made, you can always either find them here or you'll find them on in Google Classroom under Streams. So whenever I put in any announcement, I'm going to put it in either of those both, not either, in both of those platforms, right? Any very important information, you find it on Stream or in Discord. And we're not using uh, Google Classroom exclusively because it doesn't have a lot of the functionalities we need, which Discord provides. So the next thing here is introductions. If you click it, you see a lot of your colleagues have already come here, and it gives you an overview of what this is about. So if you want to understand what each of the channels is, click it and go to the top. And if you come here, you can see Matasiva. She has told us who she is, what she does, and we actually have a lot of people with very impressive backgrounds here. You know, you can see Adonija is from Kenya and he lives in Rwanda. You can see Celestine, he's in Kigali, Rwanda. And you can see Adrian, he's from Philippines, but works in ICT, integration support with United Nations peacekeeping. So as you keep going through, you see all kinds of people here. So if you haven't joined Discord, you need to join Discord, and Discord, come in here, click introductions, introduce yourself and tell us who you are. So for general is a place where you can just come and have any discussions you have, ask any questions, because this is going to be going on for 24 hours, where we have people from all over the world here. So you can come in here and ask questions, do whatever. But if you have really technical questions, right? So somebody had a challenge being able to install the applications, and I think because one of the servers was down, right? She came here and asked that. So if you have a technical question, you can come here and ask that question. And then specific, when you're asking those technical questions, you have to be specific about what you're asking. You don't just say the software doesn't work, or the algorithm that I've been given is not working. You have to say specifically what the problem is. So for example, I put it in here again, like I said, once you click this channel, you scroll up, it will give you the rules or what you're supposed to be doing there. Said my code isn't working. That's definitely not how you approach it, because my code isn't working. Nobody can actually help you, even though the writer there is screaming help, right? But you can say something like, I'm getting a module not found error when I'm running my notebook, even though I installed pandas. Here is my code snippet and what I have tried so far. So it's kind of specific, and someone can take it off from there and help you. And then you see off topic, this is a place where you can just come and rant, say whatever you want to say, that's fine, you know. Just that's if you want to compound sound here, you're welcome to compound sound, whatever you want to do. Or if you're angry at the instructor, professor, you can come here and vent your anger, or you can even come here to do whatever gossips you want. So, voice channel, this is a lounge, and these are study rooms. No, the thing with voice channels is you can actually come here if you want to meet with your group members. Once you click it, you can actually do voice or you can do video, right? You can, once you click it and other people click it, anybody that clicks it, you go in there, you can, so let me click and, for example, go into, so I'm connected, I'm in the classroom right now, right? Anybody in that classroom will be hearing what I'm saying. And it's not just that, it also has a video function. So if I click this video, I wouldn't do that right now because it will disrupt. I have only one camera, so it will disrupt it. But if you click video, all of you can see each other in there, and then you can have your meeting and do whatever it is. And if you want to go out, right, you go click the phone thing, right, and it will disconnect. Boom, and you're out. And that's how you go out, and that's it. And then when we're going to do some project group work, it's going to be here so that only people in that project can see each other. That's what Discord is and how it works. So question, if you have any questions, like feel free to ask those questions. Now you can unmute yourself. And like I said, I still haven't introduced myself. I'm going to do that. If you have any questions around everything I've done right now, it's overwhelming, you're confused, you want me to say something again, feel free. Or even if you don't want to do voice and you just want to type it in the chat, feel free. Um, I'm facing the same issue. Okay, let me see what issues. This is a message I received when I tried joining. Invite invalid. Yeah, so we're going to try to resolve that right now. So again,
Hello?
yep, feel free, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have just a simple question.
Yes,
Can
sir.
these tools, can they be downloaded in phones?
Yeah, there are apps for Discord. If you go to your app store or whatever and just click and type
No, no,
Discord,
I mean the data science. I mean the data science phone like Anaconda, the rest of them. Can they be downloaded into phones?
I would imagine it will, but the first, because I haven't tried that before, but frankly, almost every application that you have right now has some kind of phone version. So the best place to start is to start with your Apple Store or your Google, whatever it is, wherever it is that you get your apps, just go there and type in that stuff and you can see it. But I would say when it comes to your programming and all of that, it would really, really be better for you to have a tablet or some kind of computer,
Or
because
laptop?
or laptop, yeah, preferably. So, but again, I would suggest if you don't have, if you don't have any of those, then you can try to use what you have. You can try to use what you have, but frankly, if you don't have either of these, it's going to be a little more challenging for you because we have a whole bunch of things, a lot of code snippets and all of that we need to work on. So that would be what I would say. So any other
Okay.
questions? Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. So any other questions? Yeah, I will
Yes, sir.
share. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you so much. My name is Insayi from Nigeria. So I'll just downloaded and registered a Discord account on my phone.
Yeah.
I've gone back to click the channel that you shared, the link rather that you shared with us. It's saying it's giving me an error message.
Okay, so
That it, yeah.
yeah, I'm sharing the link now, right? Every one of you that is having a problem, try it. If it doesn't work, then I'll try to create a fresh link because sometimes these things expire. Though this I recreated the first one expired and I created another one yesterday and I said it was supposed to last for 7 days, right? But just try what I just put in the chat right now. If it doesn't work, let me know. Okay, so Laurency just landed. And the other thing I would want you to do, because I noticed some people did not put in their names. That would not be proper for this platform. You need to put in your name. There's a place for you to put in your first name and your last name so that every other person would know. Fine. I see a lot of people are landing in the channel. That would be awesome. So let's do
Yes,
that.
sir. The new link is okay now. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. So if you haven't joined, please feel free to join, download the app or go online, create an account. It doesn't take a lot of time. And I'm sorry we have to go through all of this, but that's because we are not physical. That's the only way we can build community. And then so one other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to eventually create a LinkedIn account for the class. It's not just going to be for this cohort, but for any other future cohorts, right? And it will be an invite only group, right? Where all of you can come in and over time, maybe if we do this for 5 years, all the people that take the class for 5 years would be in that place. So I would hope it will be a place where you can get to know each other, support each other career-wise. Or if you have any challenges with data science, whatever it will be. So we would also create that. That will be a more permanent one. This will be just for this class. Yeah, TEF, TEF. I'm not sure what the name is. Go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me, sir? Good afternoon.
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Sorry, the name, the TF, Tony Elijah Fanny.
Okay. TF. All
Thank you,
right.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Um, my question is that, or let me say observation is that the Google platform that was created
Yep.
for us, that's the pre-study, especially the week O,
All
the
right.
zero
Yep.
items. I saw some of the videos there have been uploaded, but they are not downloadable. So that was my observation. So I said, let me draw it attention to it. Maybe there's anything that can be done so that maybe I'm not doing right. There's something I'm supposed to do where I'm not doing right that we'll be able to download it so that we can watch over and over again in preparation for the class. Thank you, sir. That's the observation, sir.
Okay, so like most of the videos that I put there, right, are not my videos, and I'm going to talk a little they are not my videos. They actually most of them are YouTube videos, right? Um but I wouldn't promise this, but I will try to see if it's possible for me um to find a way to download the videos and put them there. But for now, they are not my videos. They were designed for you to just watch them. If for my own specific videos, right, it would even be very difficult to upload them, right. So if we finish this class, we might have about 2 hours of video. If you upload all of that to Google, then guess what will happen? We'll run out of space almost immediately. So that's the
Okay,
challenge.
I have one more question.
Yeah,
Prof, I really appreciate the way you are addressing this class. It's very wonderful.
yeah, thank you.
Unlike the things we used to see before. Now, like these tools for use in data science and analyticals or analytics,
Yeah.
where can we access them? Which platform can we access them? Is there any link where those tools can be downloaded into the laptop? Because I have a laptop here, I would want a situation where if we can get a link where we can download those tools or where we can get them. Like what I did yesterday, although it was in this my phone, Anaconda. I downloaded that Anaconda, but it didn't come straight into the it was I think in the Google email or something like Google to Google something. There was how you see there. If you open it, the thing you start seeing the content of that anaconda, and at the
Yeah.
same time I saw the content of mini anacondas too. So I don't know, but where can we get this too so that we can get us prepared after this class? We can now get our laptop and everything ready to get, because I know when you are talking about data science is more or less of a practical something without
Frankly, you are
yeah,
so
no.
correct. So what I would say, right, is for those of you that have software issues, let's just wait immediately after the class. I will come in with you and see if we can actually work. For those, we can even install their whole thing together. We'll do that. And then for those of you, so somebody was having somebody from Ethiopia, I think yesterday was having some challenge with downloading Anaconda. And the problem, I think there was a server side problem that was going on. So what I did was I downloaded it, put it in a folder on Google, and then sent her the link. On that way, if she goes into the folder, she's going to see it already downloaded. So I understand some of the challenges that might be going on in a couple of countries. We'll figure out how to sort out those problems.
Okay. Or else, if you can make the links available on the discourse, or if you have
Absolutely.
your WhatsApp number. Yeah, if you have your WhatsApp number, we can connect you with our WhatsApp. You can send it on WhatsApp. From there, we download it, because I think that's the best way so that we can be able to follow the
Okay, so let me
the
let
data
me
science.
let me start. I'm going to put all of that on Discord first of all, and I'll also try to
Okay.
put all the links on Google Classroom. But the other thing I will tell you is any of them, right? Any of those applications, if you so for example, Anaconda, if you just go type Anaconda plus download, you will see the download link of Anaconda immediately.
Okay,
But
Anaconda Plus. Anaconda Plus.
Sorry?
Anaconda Plus.
No, just Anaconda. No, I said plus is just supposed to be like if you want to concatenate or put two things side by side. That's what just the plus was
Okay.
about. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So for those that have technical challenges, let's meet after the class because those things can be very difficult sometimes to resolve. In some cases, they are individual and very specific. So that we don't. So any other questions?
Yes, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. So I have Jupyter notebook. I think
Mhm.
that can work for the class too.
Yes, yes. If you are comfortable with Jupyter notebook already, you don't have to bother too much about Anaconda because we're not going to be doing too much with other aspects of Anaconda. But the other thing for those using Anaconda, go to week 0. I've put a very good video there that will walk you through the process of installing it if you haven't done so already. Okay. All right. So any other questions? Let me check the chat room to see, please, how long will this particular Discord link last? So it's supposed to, Christian, it's supposed to last for a week. But if there is any challenge or any problem, just reach out. Go into you know, reach out to me. Drop some kind of information, and we would help you. How many weeks would we attend the class? I see 8 weeks, but we have been taking classes for maximum. I'm not sure who this person, Eluma, frankly, this class, I am scared if 8 weeks will be enough for the class. That's the problem. So definitely not 4 weeks. In fact, if I had my way, it would be 12 weeks. So 4 weeks cannot even scratch the surface of what this class has. Unfortunately, it's the core of this class. So thank God, I would rather you use. I see you're asking if you can use Google Colab. You can use Google Colab, but I would prefer that you use Jupyter Notebook because you might begin to run into some other issues that we might not be able to help you with. But if you are able to resolve those issues, that will be fine. Because of my laptop is strong enough. All right. So, I mean, all we just want is a platform to be able to deploy the applications and do what we need to do. So questions, any more questions? Because so the other thing I talked about, we can't do that today, right? We will have to, each of you, probably next week, each of you would have to have a GitHub account because that's where you'll be uploading your work, and then that's where you will be able to work together with a team. I understand that most people don't know how to use GitHub, or some people do not know how to do GitHub. That's why we'll do a session, a mini session next week, including the videos that can help you go back and practice and know how to use GitHub, right? So that once you have this code, you upload it. And it's actually a very good way for you to archive your work. So that, for example, if you are looking for a job, you can actually not just put your LinkedIn account there, but you can also put in your GitHub account so that they can see the projects you have done in the past. All right.
Okay. Can you spell that word GitHub?
GitHub, GIT, capital
Okay.
HUB.
Okay, GID. GID.
No, GIT.
Okay, GIT.
Yeah, somebody
Okay.
has typed it in the
Okay, let me see it.
Larry.
Okay, I've seen it.
Yeah, Larry, what will stop us will be the people in the class, because these things are structured, but if we had 100% votes, yes, we probably would now clear that with Osiri and then go ahead with it. But let's do as much as we can. and then if there are adjustments that need to be made, we would help us with GitHub, especially for some of us. Correct. That's not a problem, Ayola. We will do that. Thank you. So that's why I'm bringing my intern, hopefully by next week, who is a computer science student. He actually got his GitHub certification recently, and he's eager to, you know, share the knowledge with everyone. All right. So I don't know where we are right now. Man, we have consumed 40 minutes already. The only consolation I have is most of what we have for week one are things you can read yourself. They are not that complicated. So I'm going to touch on some of those things. But my point, my whole thing is I want everyone to, yeah, I want everyone to come to speed to be able to use Jupyter Notebook. So one of the things I'm going to do right now is I'm going to deploy a pool, and I want you to please answer to that pool because it will help me. Now, if you don't do Python, you've never coded in Python and you've never coded in any other language, then we have a challenge on our hands, right? So we have to figure out how to incorporate you into the mainstream of the class. So I'm going to launch a poll. Please just answer those 5 questions very quickly. And then because it will help us, can you see the pool now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah,
Yes,
thank you.
sir.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
yes.
So I'm just gonna give you a couple of minutes, maybe 4 minutes. So by 2:41, I'm using my time. Um, by 2:41, um, we should be able to look at the results of the pool, and then that would help us to know how to go about. Eventually, if there are people that have challenges, then we might have to do um, kind of a branch out session of the class to deal with those challenges without interfering with the class. I think we have about 46 people right now. 6 of you have completed. I'm looking at the overall count. I am seeing somebody saying that he or she did not get it. So I'm going to put a QR code that can help you. You can scan this QR code and so that you can also participate in the pool. So check the chat. There's a QR code that can help you participate in the pool before it closes. We have 2 more minutes, but I might have to extend it by 2 more minutes. Because about half of the people haven't finished yet. So, and if you were the person having problems, just look at the QR code. You can scan it on your phone and then answer the questions too. The Okay, 2 more minutes and we will be closing. I think I have about 36 of you, 9 more people to go. One more minute and the pool will be closed. By 2:47 WAT, we will be shutting down the pools. And I thank you for your participation. I thank you for your participation. In a few seconds, we should be closing the pools. So if you haven't completed it, please go ahead and complete. Thank you so much for your participation. One more person. We have about 45 seconds. Okay. I think we are short of. All right, I'm going to end the pool now. Thank you. So I don't know if you can see the results.
Yes, sir.
Yep. So
Yes, sir.
yeah, apparently, because most of my interests are on both sides. This about 8 out of the 39 says they have no prior exposure, and then we have one person that is it's like a bell curve, literally. And then they haven't taken any. So okay, some people have taken data science courses, both data science and okay. And then I have never used Python before. So for those that haven't used Python before, I'm really very interested in you. I want to get a job and then I want to improve my technical or programming skills. All right. So thank you very much. So one of the things I would ask, right, is for those of you that have a lot of experience already to kind of join as a support team for every other person, especially on the Discord channel. And if there are things I don't know or things I run into challenge with, I would ask for your help, to step in and help. If you have been in the field, both data science and AI, you know these areas are very, 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 very vast universes, right? So it is very difficult to find one person that has all of the skills, needed to even do something as simple as what we are trying to do right now. So I would ask your support and your help. And for those of you, especially, no problem with those that don't have any background in data science, but particularly I'm concerned about those that don't have any background in programming and no background in Python. So for those people, I would want you to we will have to set up something for you and aside so that I can walk you through a couple of things, and I would announce that on the Google area so that we can help set up your environment and help you learn the basics of data science so that you'll be able to, the class will be useful to you too. It's not difficult. It's actually very easy. It's just being able to open you up to it. So thank you very much. So does anyone have any questions before I move to the next item I have now? No. So I have already discussed a bit of the syllabus. Not all of it, but so I would say that the syllabus is not fully formed, and the reason why it's not fully formed is I'm trying to get a gauge of the class so that we're just not shooting over people's head, right? But I'm going to show you where we are, in terms of the syllabus today. So probably by next class, I would yeah, I will introduce myself. So by next class, you would have a more perfectly or a better formed syllabus, right? So let me share what I have here so that just 1 minute. And I'm going to put it on the platform too. That's on the Google platform. But just know that there are some adjustments that will be eminent in terms of, I don't know if you can see the syllabus. If you can't see the syllabus, please let me know. But I'm assuming everyone can. So, like
Yes.
again, these are some of the objectives, right? So we understand the core principles of data science and its life cycle: acquire, clean, wrangle, and analyze data from various sources. So we show you how to, get data from different sources to be able to, clean up that data, wrangle, and then analyze it. And then we would be able to do some exploratory data analysis as part of that process. And then we'll visualize that data, and then before that and after that, we'll be able to go into some predictive analytics. It's interesting that we do a very smart job of separating machine learning and data science. But in my view, to a very large extent, machine learning and data science are kind of same and the same thing, because all you are really doing is you are in the business of data and you're trying to analyze all of that data to do to understand what has happened in the past, what's going on now, or to be able to predict the future. That is what AI does. Incidentally, that is what data science also does. Data science to me is actually more encompassing than AI. It's only uh, you know that's why that philosophy kind of drives into some of the things that would happen in this class, because I would also push the boundaries of AI, with some of the data we will get here, so that it can help us. So making it very simplistic, the topics week 1 to 8 would have the foundations of data science, which is what we are going to do today. Not a whole lot, but I have taken the time to go look for really good materials on that area, and I've put them in week 1. So beside what we do in this class, and there's another thing I wanted to emphasize: what I'm going to be doing in this class is not necessarily teaching. I will try to teach when I can, but I'm going to be doing more of lecturing, um exposing you to the materials that you now have to study yourself. It's amazing how much information like really good information that we have out there right now. But the problem is there's so much information that people are confused about what to do with the information. So what I would do is spend my time studying a lot of that information and narrowing it down even to the simplest, so that you can get, this narrowed specific information that can help you become very good at what you do in very short order. And then the classes will be opportunities to summarize some of those findings, introduce key concepts, and then take questions, right? And anything I don't know or I can't answer, I would beg you that I would come back to you individually. I'll come back on the Discord channel, and maybe I would consult other resources, or I'll just go do some research and get you the answers that you need. So this is not one of those classes where you just come take a class and then you go about your business and then come back later. Uh, I'm being careful about this one, and I don't want you to be frustrated that we're not going straight into it, but I just wanted to lay the groundwork very clearly so that it can help every one of us be on the same page. So predictive modeling, so we do things like regression, evaluation, and then we go into classification, some unsupervised learning, and then we do some time series, and big data analytics. This alone is a course all by itself, for some of you that already know, right? So this is a whole topic of itself. You can literally run 2 or 3 classes on this, right? But we're going to introduce some of the key concepts, help you get into it. My goal at the end of the class is that you'll be able to know what you're doing, and you will be prepared enough to just go out and look for the information you need, and keep building yourself. And then the 7th class will be introduction to this is supposed to be AI, to learning in AI or AI learning. So we're going to do a bit of machine learning and deep learning. But for those of you that know AI, you already know that some of what I've already shown here are also already AI, But I included this topic because we are going to delve more into deep learning, which is kind of data science and data analytics, but we're going to go beyond just your regular data. So for example, if you get pictures and all of that, or you're using sound notes for music, at the end of the day, what you are actually doing is you're going to convert all of that to data before you start analyzing it. So that's just the bridge that exists between AI, deep learning in some cases, and your traditional machine learning. So in this particular class, right, we're going to do a lot of neural networks. But because I know this is a whole lot of work, right? Every one of these weeks, I'll try to drop some learning around deep learning, maybe at the end of the class or somewhere along the line, so that by the time we get to this point, you already know a lot, so that you can derive a lot of benefits. And then finally, we're going to have our capstone project. Right now, what I'm thinking about it is actually break us up in groups, and then we do group projects. You all can work with your groups, and then during this last class or sometime that we will define, you can come as a group and do a presentation of the work you have done. And then that will be the basis of your grading. And then in that case, we are going to grade you as a group. But beside that, there would also be some kind of peer review, right? So if someone isn't participating in the group, you are welcome to give them 0/10. If it's going to be, so that is where the differentiator would be, but the entire group would get the same grade. So this is a breakdown of the evaluation, but again, like I said, we'll frame this out using some of the information I've gathered from you today. I just didn't want it to be entirely monolithic and completely driven by instructor, but I want it to be kind of driven by the class. And if there's something as a member of the class, both experienced or inexperienced, that you think you would want to see here that is not here right now, you can also reach out to me as we finalize what's required, for us to be successful in this class as a team. So that's where I am. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question, but just a very simple one.
Yes, sir.
How can we get the notes you're sharing here? How can we get so that we can reproduce it and read ahead of you?
Yeah, so everything is already in Google Classroom. I don't know. Did you just come in?
No, but I didn't see the notes.
Okay, yeah. I mean, the question I asked, the context, the reason I asked the question is not to to say that you were late, or I just needed to know if I needed to go back and show it
No,
again.
no.
Maybe, yeah.
What I was actually saying is the note itself, the handout itself that you are using, the one you are showing on your screen. If you can get it and then reproduce it on ourselves, like me, I'll reproduce it myself. That's exactly what I'm saying.
So do you mean the course syllabus?
Yes, if I can see it, I will reproduce it and make notes out of it.
Okay, yeah, that's not a problem. It's going to be on Google Drive. I'll put it on Google Drive right after this class.
Okay.
Yeah, but so when I put it right, the updated version is the so at the end of the file name, please look at, I would have version 1, version 2, right? So the latest version, we are going to lock it at some point, and that will be the final version. So the final version will be final.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah, but I'm not going to delete whatever previous ones. All of it will be there.
Okay.
Yeah, just
The Google Drive you're referring to, is it the stream, the Google stream?
yes, sir. It will be on Google
Oh,
Stream.
okay. Okay. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
yeah. And what I'm not sure is whether yeah. No, so don't I will just put it in classroom, right? But I will just tag that place like syllabus. Once you click in there, you will see, because I don't in stream, I'm not sure you can upload materials, but in the materials side, you can, just like you see classroom 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 to 7 and 8.
Okay.
So before that, I will put syllabus and then I would upload the syllabus there. So once you click
Okay.
syllabus, you see everything. And again, if
Okay.
there's any other thing you all need, please let me know. So the other thing I have done, I'm kind of sensitive to the fact that not everybody has access to resources that we would need. So most of the materials I've chosen are materials that are free online, right? They are free. Let me go to the first, just 1 minute, my people. Just 1 minute. So I want to show you something here, and I think it will be helpful. Oh, I think it seems like I mistakenly closed. Just give me 1 minute. Let me open a new. I mistakenly closed something. So while I'm getting this, does anyone still have any challenge, anything around starting? Because once we go in right now, we are going full steam. So if you do have any questions, please let me address them right now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I want to ask, going by my previous experience,
Hmm.
I know that we incorporated tools like Tableau,
Hmm.
Power BI, and Excel.
Yeah.
Yeah, in data science. So I don't know if you have that view
Hmm.
of incorporating these tools, or are we just going to um, depend on using only Python to go about the entire course? Because I know
S-
there are some projects that we can use Tableau to get around it,
yeah.
Excel, advanced Excel,
Hmm.
to something like regression and prediction.
Right.
Yeah, can use advanced Excel to get around that. So that's my question.
So
Are we allowed to use such when it comes
yeah,
to,
yeah, I
yeah,
think you should be
yeah.
able to use such. But what I'm trying to avoid, right, is to throw in so many tools so that it now confuses people. But on your part, right, especially for your final projects, if you're able to use whatever tools you have, right, because at the end of the day, it's not really about tools. It's about solving the problem. If you can use those tools, I'll be like, yes, go ahead, use them. But for the
Okay.
purposes of the general class, we might probably just stick with Python and some of the Python packages like Matplotlib and Seaborn. You see what I mean? So for example, I was taking a certification in Power BI. Now that certification, just the first class of 5, right, took me about 2 or 3 weeks. So you can imagine just bringing in something that's, I might actually show some Power BI along the line so that, uh, again, like I said, I want to be able to expose those that haven't been around in this journey to what's available there so that they can begin to grow from there. So I hope that answers your question. Though.
Yes, just like our final project, we can decide to use something like Tableau, Power
Yeah,
BI, so that during the
absolutely.
presentation, we
Mhm.
build the dashboard and be able to do our presentation and then,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Amara, I see your hands are up.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Emma. So I was having issues downloading the GIT, or rather installing it. I was able to download it following the video you provided. And then when I was trying to install it, it just at the time it was getting to the finished and it just told me there was an error message. I've been trying to upload to paste the error message here
Mhm.
in the chat room, but I'm not able to do that.
Which application is that?
The GIT, the JIT.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. So, do you mind just immediately we finish the class, you just wait behind so that we'll try to resolve it. Would that work for you?
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine. Thank
Yeah,
you.
because I know trying to resolve those things will just take away the time of the class, and then some
Mm.
people will be wondering what we are doing. All
Okay,
right.
no, thank you.
So, yeah. So,
No, no, you are doing perfect. You are doing perfect. You are learning
okay, thank you. Appreciate
very
that.
with you. I'm very much excited.
All right. Thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
thank you so much. You are trying.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Professor Mary.
Good afternoon.
Yes, ma'am.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm looking forward to making the most of this time, the
Yeah.
2 months we have together.
Yeah.
So I know that sometime it may be needful to contact you
Yeah.
either through your WhatsApp number or email.
Yeah.
So I did put on the comment section. Would you be pleased to share your contact with us,
Yeah.
such as the WhatsApp number or email?
Yeah. I'll do that. I'll do that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Appreciate. Okay. So that's where we are with this. So I'm going to now continue. Let me just share. I told you I wanted to share something. So this is an example of one. I hope you can see my screen. Sometimes I'm not sure if people are seeing my screen. So this is one of the books, right? This is a free book online. I think the author has graciously made it available. And it's called Python for Data Analysis. This will be very, very helpful for especially those that are starting, um, for the first time in data science, and also very helpful for even those that are experienced in data science. So some of the work we're going to be doing, we're going to be going through those chapters, right? So, and I know some people don't like reading, but I will strongly, strongly encourage you to go through. Frankly, my goal is for you to go through all of these books, all of this material. Now, I have um, about 2 or 3 high school interns that just joined my lab, right? They are high school students and they are starting school this fall, which is in August. They have no background in Python. So the first thing I did was get them to download Anaconda because I know they will be needing it in some of the work we'll be doing in the future. Get them to download Anaconda, and we got to Jupyter Notebook, and then I just gave them a material. It was just a book to go through, and then within 2 weeks, they were already in chapter 9 of the book, and now they are really very good with Python. That's how easy it is if you decide to go through this thing. So we're going to be using this mostly. And there's a second book, right, that I included. I don't have it offhand right now to open, but you can see all of those things in Google Notebook, because once you get into your, which is why I'm really gung-ho about setting you up for Anaconda and setting you up for your Jupyter Notebook. All you can do is you come here, read whatever you have, you click the copy to your clipboard, and you click it into the cell, and then you see what happens and you understand it, and you just keep going. And before you know what's happening, right, you're done with all of these topics. So that's for that. So one last thing before I introduce myself, one last thing is where I've also made a lot of at least one Jupyter notebook for each class, right? That in some cases explains the concepts and then gives you the code, right? And in some cases, even though I haven't done it for all of them and I will strive to do it, under each of the code snippets, right, it would actually tell you exactly what's happening in that code, right? And then there are also graphical illustrations, either using Matplotlib or Seaborn for each of what you have there, so that the way I'm designing the course is if I come here and I give you general information, you go do the reading, you would instantly know what I am talking about there without really needing to, do a lot of head wringing, right? So I'm going to be sharing those notebooks as we go in the class. And again, in your Google whatchamacallit, classroom, I'm going to have a link to the folder. The folder is on Google Drive, but the link, in other words, everything you would need, right, is on Google Classroom, right? So I will put it in a folder that I will call general resources. So if you're looking for link to the books we are using, or you're looking for a link to the code, you would have all of that there. Peradventure, you get lost and you don't know what what you're looking for is, all you need to do is just go to Discord and type a question there. I believe one of the people in this class is going to respond to you, or I would respond to you, or the my co-instructor, Dr. Ne, would respond to you. So is Dr. Ne here? Yes, I will be doing that. So what I would do is I would try to upload it, because of course, if we try to upload it directly, we would have a space issue. So I'll try to create a YouTube link, put all of that information there, and put the link of the classes in each of the classes for each of them, and then you just go there, you click, and then you can watch the videos. Is Dr. Ne here? No?
I'm here.
Oh yeah, go ahead,
Good day,
please.
everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon from Nigeria. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
We can
Welcome.
hear you.
you.
Yeah, I'm present.
Okay.
Okay. I'm glad to be here.
All
Thank you
right.
very much.
Yeah, you will see her. If you scroll around, you see Nne Saturday. She will be my co-instructor and will be helping too. So on the Discord, she'll be there, and then other things that we'll be doing, she'll be helping direct and support the work. So I think we are going to, let me just monitor and see if there's any question, and then we're just going to jump in the time we have right now, and I would show you a couple of things. Will you be sharing the video? Yes, I will, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, the Google Classroom link. Someone is asking for the Google Classroom link. let me see. Um, so I'm going to share something with you, right? Look at the classroom, Google Classroom code. So that's the code. So I've included it. I don't know if someone is lost from the Google Classroom, but I don't know. That's the information there. So I am going to go ahead and talk about myself. Sorry, I forgot that I was just about to start. So again, my name is Noble Anumbe. I am, my background is mechanical engineering. I have, and that's my undergraduate degree, mechanical engineering with a focus in production engineering. And then I have a master's degree in oil and gas engineering from the UK. And I am currently enrolled in an MBA program, half complete now. And then my PhD is in mechanical engineering with a focus in multi-phase flow. And a lot of my research work is in smart manufacturing. So it's around when I started doing smart manufacturing that I started delving a lot into emerging technologies. So I'm a certified instructor with IBM for IBM Skills Academy. That program, um, was very prominent in 2019, just before COVID. So I did data science. I'm an instructor for data science, artificial intelligence, enterprise design thinking, quantum computing, um, cloud computing, and a couple of others, blockchain, and all of those things. And so, with a lot of that knowledge and some of the teaching I did in that, I got involved in manufacturing, and then part of my work, in doing manufacturing research. And when I say research, I think it's not basic research, it's more of applied research. So I do a lot of work in my center along with my other colleagues, right? And what we do is actually work with a lot of companies, local industries, and a couple of IT companies and consulting companies. And what we do is actually trying to do proof of concepts, right, around a lot of technologies to help develop new technologies, right? Essentially, bring traditional manufacturing or other disciplines, as it were, and then infuse machine learning, AI, or any other emerging technology to make those systems smarter. So that's part of the work I've been doing. I've done some work in intellectual property for a couple of years, and a couple of other things. So I'm also heavily involved in the project management side. I'm the president of the Project Management Institute locally here. So I've been the president for a couple of years, and I've held several other roles in project management. So I teach project management. I do a lot actually in project management. By August 8th, I'm putting together a PMO conference, and should be in Phoenix, Arizona for the global convention, for those of you that know what I'm talking about. So that's my background. I don't know what else. Am I missing anything else? So that's me in a nutshell. So all the data science stuff and all of that, I have improved over time. I'm not anything near an expert, but one of the things I'm really good at is communicating knowledge, or finding resources or providing support for people. I've been able to help raise a lot of people, from zero to a place where, um, they are doing well. So that's where I am right now. I don't know if
I know you are so perfect in the background you have set up is so massive. It's only a dummy that will not understand this course, to be very honest with you.
it's well, sir. So
Yeah,
that's
thank you so much.
thank you. Thank you so
This
much.
is what is
Yeah.
called imparting knowledge. Not be story.
All right, sir. Thank you. So
You're welcome, sir.
the other thing I wanted to mention, because I'm also looking to see, that's why if you remember, I talked about week 7. I talked about week 7, right? Where I want to introduce some measure of neural networks, right? And for those of you that have some experience with neural networks, um, it's a broad subject. But again, I want to introduce us, not to make us perfect or make us know everything, but at least to introduce you to a place, right, where you are able to go look, you understand the basics, and you can go out there to go look for the information, because there's so much information. And I cringe, right, when people see the information and they don't understand it, because nobody actually opened the door to show them, hey, this is what this looks like. So I will be doing a bit of that. And the other thing I wanted to mention is we are industry agnostic in our approach to solving. I know some of you come from government, some of you come from academia, some of you are doing biology research. So we're going to be kind of industry agnostic. So we can pick on any industry. And that's also the approach that I'm going to be coming with it, even though there will be a little bias of my own experiences, which is what traditionally happens, even when you don't want to do that. But I'll try as much as possible to be as diverse as possible. So let me
Excuse me, sir. That you said, is that neural?
neural networks, yeah.
Can you explain? Can you spell it for me?
Neural, neural networks. So when you think of yeah, and let me type it in here so that everybody can also neural networks. So, and I mentioned that because almost everything that is happening around you right now, right, has some element of neural networks, and we're aggregating so much data, and all of that data needs to be analyzed at some point, right? And the way you can actually get real value out from a lot of those data would be through deep learning, right? Which involves not like very deep networks, right? A lot of neural networks, and a very wide array of layers, right? Very deep layers. So that's why I'm thinking maybe 6th, 7th, and 8th week or thereabout, right? I'll be introducing us to some certification with NVIDIA. So I happen to be an instructor with NVIDIA. I don't know if you know what the company NVIDIA. I know some of you do. Probably maybe 80% of you already know about NVIDIA. NVIDIA is one of those companies that actually provides a lot of the hardware and software for a lot of the machine learning that is currently going on, and it's a really top company out there. So I'm a certified instructor in one of their courses. I would get certified in other courses, hopefully, but I want to introduce us. So that's my profile with NVIDIA. I'm always not sure what I'm sharing, but okay. What do you all see, though? Can you see what I'm sharing?
Great.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, sir. Mhm. University of
Yes.
South Carolina.
Yes. So that's my background. So I want to introduce this, even though it seems to be in industrial inspections, it's going to be very helpful for you to understand neural networks, different kinds of architectures, and all of that, right? That would eventually help propel your work in data science or extend, because especially for those that already have some experience in data science, this would actually help extend your work beyond that. So 6, 7, and 8 weeks. But like I mentioned, the content is in the 7th week. We're going to start introducing it beginning from next week, and then it will start culminating between the 6th, 7th, and 8th week. So as you can see, right, please, it's you have a lot to do, a lot of roles to play on your own part. So that's why I'm setting up the stage this way. All right. So let me share a couple of things, and then we just talk through some things. Just 1 minute, please. Let me open a slide. In the most part, I have not created a lot of, I have not, let me just say, I have not created slides as it were, but at least for this particular one, I've created a slide, and there's some kind of interference going on. If you're not speaking, please see if you can do us a favor, yeah, of muting yourself. So let me share this slide. That might be a segue and a good beginning for what we are going to be doing today. Yeah. Let me share this. Can you see my screen? I hope you do.
Yes, sir. Very well.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
we can.
Yeah, let me share the screen. Okay. Oh my God, I have, let me minimize this. Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. Minimize this too. So, week 1, foundations of deep learning and analytics. Trust me, I haven't made any other slide but this. So, so the learning objectives, right, for this, I'm not going to go through all of these because you're going to see them in your Google Classroom, but it's just for the purposes of the slide. So essentially, data science is the process of turning raw data into actionable insights. No matter what it is, at the end of the day, one of the things I want to mention, which is one of the challenges we have, is most recently, with the emergence of a lot of computing power, because data science, AI have been around for a very long time, for at least half a century. We've had these things up into the 1950s. But one of the challenges we've had is we either do not, in some cases, we don't have enough data, especially on the machine learning parts or the AI part. And then the second problem we had was computational power, right? Sometime I heard someone say that, the mobile phones you all are carrying right now, right, has more computational power than the computers that sent humans to the moon in the 1960s. That's how powerful even the computer you have in your hands are, right? Those things can process millions of transactions in seconds, right? So there's a lot of computational power here. And to do data science, and especially to do machine learning and deep learning, one of the challenges was computational power. So all of this began to come together, right? When all of a sudden we began to get more data, especially with the advent of the internet, especially with the explosion of the internet in the early 90s, when we had the graphical user interface and all of that, all of a sudden we began to collect a lot of data. And then we moved from that. And then the next thing that began to happen is we had Industry 4.0, right? Which is what is essentially Industry 4.0. to understand Industry 4.0, one of the things you need to begin to think about is to understand the Industrial Revolution, right? In the Industrial Revolution, which is at that particular time, most of what you had was human labor. People were using their hands, they were using manual labor to do most of what they were doing until all of a sudden we had machines, right? Steam engines and all of that. And that radically changed, the world as we know it. And if you're paying attention, that's actually why the UK became a superpower because they controlled all of those means of production, or at least a lot of it emanated from around that area. So, which is why I tell people, right, even as we get into this fourth industrial revolution, because after that industrial revolution, you had the second industrial revolution, and then you had the third industrial revolution. I think the second industrial revolution had to do with mass production when Ford began to mass produce cars, right? And then you had factories where instead of building things in individual units, we began to mass produce things, right? And we began to use specialization of skills where you came in to build a car, somebody was specific to doing one particular thing, and the other person had to do the other thing. And then we had these conveyor lines, and they began to put things together. So prior to that era, it was only the rich and the powerful that had access to technologies and new things, right? Because it was hard to build them in mass. But with the second industrial revolution, all of a sudden we had mass production of things. But we moved from the second industrial revolution, we got into the third industrial revolution where we now had automation. That's where you had robots, and we were able to, automate factories. That's why if you go into a factory, you see that whole process being automated. But then we have moved from that era, and then we are now in the fourth industrial revolution, which is mostly data-driven, the a data-driven era. It's the era where we have what would you call it? All of these emerging technologies like AI, quantum, we have cybersecurity, we now have the advent of cloud and all of that. And all of these technologies are now being summarily infused into all the other things. Like we move from a traditional car, your internal combustion engines, and all of a sudden we are immediately moving to cars actually driving themselves. So in a couple of cities in the United States, we actually have these cars now being run like your typical Uber. They come in there, they pick people, take them to wherever they want to go to, and all of that are the effects of industrial revolution. Now, of the fourth industrial revolution, and a lot of these technologies, as you are all aware, are beginning to make some really dramatic shifts. And if I might say, whoever again dominates the fourth industrial revolution, even though it's very hard for any one nation to dominate it, but they are going to be clear leaders in that space, all of those people are going to dominate the world as we know it. And when you dominate the world, in technology, that's how you begin to dominate the world in economics, because business models begin to change very rapidly, and then to run those business models you have those technologies coming back to power them. And then if you can dominate economically, then all of a sudden you are able to dominate militarily, and when you dominate militarily, then you tell every other person to shut up. So, which I think is a challenge for Africa, and some other emerging economies, right? Because the pace, and I've been at the forefront of some of these things, at least sitting on the sidelines where a lot of these things are happening, and which is why I weep about a couple of countries where education is not being taken very seriously. So, that's a long-winded way of trying to talk about Industry 4.0. But then the point I was trying to make with Industry 4.0 is you have all of these technologies, and one of those technologies, for example, is IoT, Internet of Things, where, for example, everything all of a sudden is now connected, because to get all of that data, you now have sensors, right? Even in some factories, there are certain factories that have been there for 50 years. Their machines have been there for 50 years. They're still using those machines. there is a mad scramble right now to, instrument those machines with all kinds of sensors so that they can collect temperature data, they can collect vibration data, they can collect all kinds of data, right? That can help them monitor the health of those equipments. And new equipments are coming up. So with the internet, a lot of the data, being accumulated through the internet, when you do your charts, everything you're doing, right? We're accumulating so much data. Even the video that is going to be created from this is all data. So from all of these areas, especially the IoT things that we are talking about, right? You get into a lot of those new cars, or you even your refrigerators, they have sensorized refrigerators, right? That can collect all kinds of data. And if you run out of any supplies, it can actually order things for you from, one of the companies like Amazon without you being involved in that loop. You can make your you or at this point we have smart cities, we have smart cars, we have smart all kinds of things. But all of those things, right? Things are you're able to make things smart because you're collecting data from all of those things and you're able to analyze that data, which is why we have this definition being that data science is the process of collecting all of that raw data from all of these places we are talking about so that we can get actionable insights. And it's not just actionable insights, but that so that we can also make decisions, right? Make systems do things because we collected all of that data. So another person, this is another definition of it, right? The data science is an interdisciplinary field that uses scientific methods, algorithms, and this is more a technical definition, processes and systems to extract knowledge and insight from structured and unstructured data. Now, what is structured data? Structured data is simple, right? So I would actually break it down further. We have structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data. What is structured data for those of you that might not? And I'm sorry if I'm dumbing it down too much, right? And the reason I am doing that is because again, we took those pools. There are some of us that are in the lower rung of the knowledge and the others in the higher rung. And it's not because they are dumb, it's just that they have not been open to this part of knowledge. You know how they say it? They said if a you know a fish, if a monkey brings out a fish and asks it to climb a tree, right? It thinks the fish is dumb until the fish challenges the monkey to a swim. That's where you see the difference. So everybody is an expert in the field where they are. It's just that in this area, there are people that are just beginning in that knowledge. So again, I was mentioning structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data. Structured data, an example of structured data is, for example, your Excel sheet, right? Everything is laid out. You have your columns, you have your rows. So managing that kind of data is a little more, it's a little easier, right? Because everything is organized the way it should be. So something like Jetson files. I don't know if you all have seen Jetson files. You can write that down or just note it down if you haven't. Again, one of the things I want to emphasize in this class is there's so much information out there. You can take a note. If I mention anything you don't know, just write it down and just go Google is your friend, right? It will give you, instead of spending all the time explaining whatever. So Jetson files, if you open them up, you see they are kind of organized, but they're not as organized like your Excel sheet with definite columns and definite rows and all of that. So that's an example of semi-structured data. They're almost like dictionaries, right? Where you have a name, colon, and then you have something, age, column, day. So they're organized in that sense, but they are not in specific columns and rows. And then you have unstructured data, right? So for example, if you're chatting with someone on Facebook or you're chatting with someone on WhatsApp, right? All of that data, you can do things like sentiment analysis, right? Where you're trying to understand the sentiments. So for example, you're a business and people come in and they leave reviews. Let's say you have 1,000 reviews, right? There's no way to you go read all of that. You can actually just use data science, to curate all of that data and perform a sentiment analysis and then get an overall sense of the sentiments of all of the people in your group and maybe segregate them. Okay, for those that gave me a 1 star, 2 stars, 3 stars, 4 stars, and 5 stars, and then do a query and figure out what is it that is the overriding theme, what is it that people are complaining most about. Yeah, but you can see all of that just charts. It's unstructured data, and it's not very easy for you to analyze it except you apply certain methods in data science. So and data science, right, is a combination of a couple of fields, right? Statistics and mathematics. You need to have a grasp of mathematics and statistics. Again, it's not complicated if you have an open mind, computer science, you need some knowledge of programming, some data structures, and a bit of machine learning to be able to thrive in this field, and then some knowledge of the domain. So as a data scientist, you don't necessarily have to have the domain knowledge, as it were, but for every project you want to do, it's super important that you're working with someone that is very vast in that domain, right? So that they can actually help you understand what's in that domain. Because without domain understanding, you wouldn't be able to do effective data science. And then, what was it? I can't remember the name of the person that was talking about Tableau and all of that. That is very important. Now, being able to tell stories with data is a powerful part of data science, even though we tend to sometimes arrogate those responsibilities to data analysts. It's a powerful tool that a data science needs to be able to communicate or tell a story. And to tell a story, you have to have a clear narrative so that you don't end up confusing people. But that's where I will stop with that. So data analytics, right? And I refer to data analytics as just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. Oh, sorry, guys. Let me just. So, let me just ask: is there any question? Does anyone have any question with what we have now? Hello?
Okay, just I know you're about to speak on data analytics.
Right. Mhm.
If you don't mind, I'd like you to try to differentiate data analysis from data analytics.
You have got me on that one. So let me welcome. So that's one of those challenges because generally I find it difficult to go into definition of terms. I find it very difficult to go into definition of terms, and the reason is because people have all kinds of definitions of things, right? Um, let me hear what other people have to say first before I chime in, because this is there are certain things that are not totally clear cut. So there is a video I included in week 1 where an IBM guy was talking about the difference between data science and data analytics. Yeah. Then how you have data scientists and then you have data analysts, right? And most of what data analysts tend to do a lot of times is analyzing historical data. In other words, things that have already happened in the past. That's one definition of data analyst, right? But then a data scientist, right, tends to focus more on current data and predictive data. Both, so they focus on prescriptive and predictive. They are looking into the future to use the data we have right now to make predictions about the future or to make recommendations about how businesses, because a lot of your data science should be focused on solving real problems. It's not about just getting the skills. We're going to talk a little more about that, right? So kind of that's the general sense. But then when you come to the weeds, right? Like the guy, I was listening to the guy in week one of that video. One of the things the guy was doing there was to say most of the things you all traditionally know as data science is actually data analytics. That the job of a data scientist is to create the algorithms themselves and the tools that is required to do data analytics. That's a very, because if you go by that definition, most people that claim to be data scientists are actually not data scientists. So for example, most of what we are going to be doing
Can I come in?
Yes, sir.
I think when you are talking about data analysis, it's talking about the process of examining data.
Yeah.
You're looking at data critically and getting a result out of, just like when federal government of Nigeria, gave out an information about a certain problem.
Mhm.
A data analyst just study and examine that information that is coming from the federal government and if possible, how to go about it. Why data analytics is talking about computation of informations and using statistic models and other information methods in order to streamline an information or data in a structured form. I think that, am I right?
Again, that's so it's the universe of so well, people are chiming in. Please type whatever you think it is. It's a very robust background. Like I like what Adana just said, right? It's a very robust background. It's very difficult. It's something that is very difficult to define. Trust me, because remember when I started, I was saying something about machine learning and all of that, right? So all of a sudden you have machine learning courses and then you have data science courses, right? But if when we start right now, we're going to be doing regression analysis, we're going to be doing classifications, and most of what you see in machine learning is classification and regression analysis, right? You see a lot of that and maybe neural networks. So, yeah.
Hello, sir. Sorry, my contribution is in form of question, just to
Yeah, go ahead.
carry on, sir. In my little understanding, sir, when we talk about data analytics, or maybe at the end of the year, let me clarify it. In
Yeah.
data analysis or in statistics,
Yeah.
there is what you call descriptive data and inferential.
Yep.
So when you talk about descriptive, that means you want to know more about the either historical data, or let me just say the data at hand. That's when you're able to bring out some summary and tell us one or two things about the data at hand. Now, coming from that, by the time you're able to pick one or two variables from there, you can now tell us or generalize a particular statement. I think that now tell us what inferential statistics is about.
Yeah.
It is on that point I'm trying to understand what then is analytics and the science. But in my view, so far, I look at it that data science is more of bringing out, building it, factoring it, and come out with the data itself. Not that, under statistics, under description, we have not got method of data collection.
Right.
That's observations and whatever. But this time around, we are not talking about data collection. We are talking about you bringing out, like what you said in the discussion, somebody going to Facebook, bringing out pictures, unstructured data, for instance. We don't have that earlier. And that's what we are incorporating into it. Looking at what may look as if ordinary communication, then you are bringing out data out of it. So that's my little understanding about data science. So it is bringing these three together. It is where I will have loved if there is a way that we can harmonize the discussion and come out with a better discussion. For now, that is what I know. And if there is a way we can fine tune that, I will appreciate that. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, so Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, man.
Okay, I did ask the question. Can I
Yeah,
also try to answer because I had to
absolutely.
consult.
Absolutely.
I actually had to consult chatbot to see
Hmm.
how it's going to help us.
Yep. Hmm.
It says, in summary, it says data analysis mainly focuses on examining and interpreting data that has already been collected.
Historical
On
data.
the other hand, data analytics covers everything from collecting, cleaning, analyzing, visualizing, and using the data for decisions. So data analytics is more encompassing. It takes even the process of data analysis as one of the processes to be undergone. So it involves everything from the collection process. That means there's a way data should be collected. There's a way data should be cleaned. There's a way data should be analyzed. We should work in visualizations as well. And then with the sole aim to get insightful, what you call interpretable insights that help in decision making. That's data analytics.
So
Thank
you
you.
you you are correct, So
100% correct.
yeah, so what all of you have said right now, right? So one of the ways I will try to explain it is you know how you bring like 17 different people and you're asking them to 17 different blind people and you're asking them to describe an elephant and they are all around the elephant. Some would touch the tail, some would touch the trunk, some would touch the what do you call it, the beak or the mouth or whatever. And then you have completely different descriptions, but most, like, everybody is correct, right? But the challenge is being able to put all of that together. So I did some research. One of the things he was saying is, because one of the things we haven't mentioned is what's the difference between data science and data analytics? So what I was seeing is that data analytics are the tools, employed, procedures, techniques, and all of that employed to do data science. Then I watched the video of the guy from um, IBM, and it's in class one, right? The class one, if you go click there, and his definition or distinction between data science and analytics was out there. So the way I would conclude this, right? The important, and I don't know, was it the prof that was talking about inferential, descriptive statistics and inferential statistics? Again, it's almost like the same thing that we were talking about, right? A lot of times when you see what data analysts do, they will use historical data, try to understand that data, and maybe create charts and all of that, right? Which is more or less what we do in descriptive analytics, right? And then inferential is where you've already built out these models and you're using them to predict information. So let me just share this screen again. Man, our time is crazily gone. So it would be nice if each and every one.
But
Yeah,
Prof, you will help us to, if you can get this your slides and reproduce it.
yeah. I will make this slide available definitely.
Oh,
So
okay. Oh, great.
yeah, within the limits of the knowledge, right, that I can muster right now. And I'm not saying this is completely correct, right? And I want to go with that assumption that data analytics is the method to the madness, right, of data science. But by all means, that's why I put that video of the guy from IBM. Eventually it would be nice if every one of us can spend some time and scribble something. Maybe that will be our first assignment, right? Just try to have maybe half a page or a page. What exactly is data science to you, right? So data analytics refers to the systematic computational analysis of data. Now it includes descriptive analytics, diagnostic. Sorry, there's someone. Can you check your so it includes descriptive. Sorry, guys. let me try to find out where the noise is coming from so that, yeah, if you can mute yourself, that would be highly appreciated. If you can mute yourself. Sorry about that. Let me go back and yeah. So what we have, right? So there are different aspects of data analytics, which is one descriptive, which is essentially, and we're going to do a bit of descriptive analytics when we get into our Jupyter notebook. There's diagnostic, there's predictive, and then there's prescriptive analytics. So data science uses analytics, right, which is data analytics as one of its core tools to understand data and support decision making. So that's one way to look at data analytics and then the connection it has with data science. So descriptive analytics, right? It summarizes historical data. So now we're looking at data that has already been generated to understand what has happened. For example, analyzing a monthly sales report to determine what happened in the past month, right? That way you can do the mean, you can take the standard deviation, you can generate all kinds of plots to see exactly what's happening. That's an example of, and then, for example, if you have Tableau or you have Microsoft BI, Power BI, then you can come up with all kinds of things to actually understand what's going on, right? And these are the key steps, right, in conducting a descriptive analytics, right? Mark the word descriptive. You do your data collection, your data cleaning and preparation, and then you integrate all of the data. And then it's a 7-step process. You do your data exploration, where you're digging down to really understand what's going on with that data. You group and you summarize data using all kinds of matrices like the counts, averages, totals, ratios, and then you now build your and you now build out your reports, right? And you do all of the visual data visualization, especially with some of the tools I just mentioned now. And this is at the core of what a data analyst does. So you create dashboards, graphs, reports to communicate insights clearly. And that's where your storytelling becomes very important, because you have to communicate things, right, after you have determined what the specific narrative is. And then in the interpretation and reporting, you analyze and explain key findings to inform decision makers about what has happened in the past. So descriptive is you're focusing on historical data, right? And then we go into diagnostics. This actually investigates data to determine why something happened. So this is like your investigative journalist, or like your forensic analyst, right? Your focus is to understand, you have all of this data. Something has gone wrong, but you don't know why it went wrong, right? But you believe that somehow in that data, there are clues, right? It's almost like there's a crime scene, right? One thing we know is that something has happened. Someone has died. A crime has been committed. So what you do is you round up the place and you collect all of that evidence, right? And you begin to investigate. A lot of times the cause or what happened is not immediately evident, but one thing you can tell is that there is a trail that can lead you to what happened. And then that's what you do with diagnostic analytics. Now, and like I mentioned before, right, in machine learning, there's something we call anomaly detection. So sometimes you find a situation where you've created an upper bound for something and you've created a lower bound, right? If you see all of your data is blowing through the upper bound or the lower bound, then there is a problem because it's an anomaly. So if you have data, for example, and you're doing some kind of diagnostic analysis, one of the things you're trying to do is to find out how some things are outliers from the bands that you have created. So identity, you want to identify anomalies or issues, pinpoint expected, unexpected trends, patterns, or outliers. discovered during the descriptive analytics, and then you formulate the hypothesis. There has to be, and in crime scene detection, or for those of you that might be in the legal profession, one of those things you start with is or those of you that are in research, right? You start with some kind of hypothesis or a theory, right? A hypothesis rather, and that's your best guess of what happened, right? So you develop possible explanation or cause for what you saw, and then after that you begin to drill down into that data, do segmentation, filtering, data slicing, and all of that too. And then you perform a root cause analysis, data comparison, validate the findings. So you can see, as a data analyst, right, you actually have to pick one area that you have to focus on, because it's a broad universe of things that are involved. So we just talked about descriptive, and then we talk about diagnostic analysis, and I'm going to share this slide for you so that we can all benefit. So, and then now that's when you talk about predictive analytics. Now that's where you're using your statistical models and machine learning to forecast what is likely to happen. For example, we're trying to forecast, for those in marketing, you want to forecast churn. Even though it's not an everyday word, it actually essentially means the process of identifying customers who are likely to stop using a product or service. Now, they haven't stopped using that product or service. They are still your loyal customers, or so you think. But then, just by looking at the data and digging down in the data, you might be able to predict, and a lot of people have done things like this to predict that this person that is buying from you today, next year they would not be buying from you, right? And you can use data to figure out all of those. So, and how do you do that? And that's where we talk about, you define what your specific objectives. Just 1 minute. This thing is, yeah. You define your objective, you clearly articulate what you want to predict, and then you collect and you prepare the data. Then you select features, and I'm going to spend some time discussing with us what features are, because features are going to keep um, reappearing, both when we do a lot of the data analytics and we do some of the machine learning. You hear things like feature engineering. What is feature engineering? Being able to understand what features are is really very important. So it says you identify and engineer the most relevant variables, right? And it calls them features that influence the outcome. And then you split that data. Usually you split the data into different your training data, your validation data, and your test data. So for some of you that are into machine learning, even deep learning, you understand that everything I'm describing now under predictive analytics is actually what you do in machine learning, right? And even in deep learning, these are the processes that you follow. And then you choose the predictive model that you're going to use, which can be linear regression, decision trees, or neural networks based on the problem type that you have. And then you train the model, and then you evaluate the model performance, where you're using things like your confusion matrix, your RMSE, you're using your precision recall, AUS, depending on what the specific problems are. And some of these things we would actually, again, go into a lot of them. My goal at the end of the day is that you know enough, not to make you an expert as it were, but you know enough that you can just step out on your own at your own private time and begin to learn more about each and every one of these things. And then you have to also tune the model, because sometimes your model needs parameter or hyperparameter tuning. You do all of that. You deploy the model, which is a whole beast on itself. The deployment of models, monitoring and updates of that model, as that model, maybe the data set based on which you built that model is beginning to change, right? You want to update the model so that it's your predictive accuracies of the models can improve. And then this is where we have prescriptive analytics, very important. After you've done all of these other things, especially your predictive analytics, the whole purpose why you do data science is to actually solve real life problems. Again, disabuse yourself from the idea of, I just want to know this. It has to be targeted towards solving specific societal problems. It could be a problem in research, it could be a problem in a company or something. And what prescriptive analytics does is that it helps the data scientists actually recommend actions or strategies to achieve certain desired outcomes based on the work they have done in their prescriptive analytics and then the predictive analytics. For example, we want to recommend price strategies that can make a product more profitable. What we do on an everyday seller will do is, price all of their products the same. But with data, you can actually decide, what, it's better for me to sell at a particular price in the morning and at another price in the afternoon and at another price in the evening, right? And you can do all of those things with if you have enough data, and you find out that your results, in some cases, your profit is actually better than putting it at some high price, that's fixed. And that's what a data science working within an organization is able to provide, those kind of advice, and those kind of advice will be based on data and the information and knowledge and insights gleaned from existing uh, data. So what do you do with this process? You define the objectives, you gather and prepare the data, you develop predictive models, which is what we did in the previous one. Then you now, at this point, that's when you begin to incorporate constraints and goals. And then you do some optimization, you know, because you're looking at different scenarios and to see which of them, right, provides the best outcomes. Then you look at trade-offs. And when you do this kind of work, you need a domain knowledge expert to work with because they would understand the business or what it is that you're working on. You now generate the recommendations for your organizations, and then you work with them to implement. And in some cases, you automate some of those decisions. And then as a data scientist, you sit back and then you monitor what's happening, because a lot of times, right, the underlying basis on which certain models are built change over time as environmental, and outside factors begin to change. I think that's all I would have for this. I think there are a couple of other things I need to also talk about, but I think we're going to stop here for now. Let me see if I have any questions. Any questions for us? Hello, any questions? Anyone with questions? No? Yes? Oh, yeah, I'm going to share the slides. You're going to get all
Not
of
a
that.
question.
Yeah.
I don't
Yes,
have
I
a
have a
question,
question
but
too.
rather,
Yeah.
hello. I
Yeah.
don't have a question, but maybe to observe that sometimes we use 3 hours for our lectures. It
Oh,
looks like
so
you're battling with the 2 hours. I don't know.
yeah,
Sometimes
it
we use
is.
3 hours.
So my thing is, if it's good, I'm going to change it to 3 hours because I was really trying to understand, you know, what the tolerance level is. I tend to try to be very sensitive to my audience.
Yeah, sometimes we use 3
We
hours.
are ready, sir. We are ready. We are enjoying your class.
Okay, okay.
It's not
So
boring at all.
it's not. Oh, thank you. You make me.
Yeah,
All
it's not
right.
boring.
Yeah. I don't know if Miss Adana, were you the one that talked? Because I see your hands are up.
No, no. My hand is still up. I want to be given an opportunity to speak.
Oh
If
no,
you're
go
true,
ahead, please,
congratulations.
please, please.
All right, thank you very much. I wouldn't be doing justice to myself if I don't say anything.
Yep.
I am really, really impressed with the delivery. Honestly, I am so excited.
Very
Actually, the
excellent.
first time I saw these 2 months of the thing, yeah, when I saw these 2 months of the thing, I became so scared, of how we're going to be sitting for 2 hours, 3 hours for 2 months. But in fact, from today, I didn't even, I just looked at my time now to see that, oh, it's already 2 hours. I'm so happy. I'm
Okay.
so excited.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
really
glad.
excited.
This go.
But in as much as we are going to be when you're going to be doing the review of the time, please also bear in mind that this is going to stretch for 2 months.
Yeah.
And so you may also have to consider the fact that some persons may have some other engagements, though
Right.
that might not be an excuse. So maybe you just take a little to the left, a little to the right, rather than just say, okay, let me review it upwards for 3 hours, because this is going to be a long stretch.
Yeah.
And then let me go straight to my concern. Actually, I've been so concerned about the things, the materials and everything, that have just been given to us, in our emails, as they are the Google Classroom rather.
Right.
And so I want to ask, are these the materials we need? Because in fact, I just have to tell you the truth. I've been so overwhelmed that I refuse to open them. Sincerely speaking, I know I had downloaded Jupyter Notebook and then
Right.
Anaconda, but I've been so overwhelmed. So, what do we expect, or what's expected of us? Are we expected? Sorry, I might be asking a silly question, but I need to be sure I'm doing the right thing. Are we expected to download these materials as we go on, or are we just expected to use it to build a database, or what? Because it's quite overwhelming. I'm sorry
Okay.
I'm asking this, but I just
Okay.
want to be sure
Right.
I know the right thing to do. Thank you.
Yeah. So week 0, right? Week 0 is not necessarily important like that, right? Because I think that might be where a lot of the anxiety is coming from week 0. The reason why I put week 0 there, right, is to, again, data science is a discipline where you have to use tools, right? Now, what I put there are like tutorials that can lead you. So, for example, if we're doing something in pandas, right, and you're like, you don't really understand what's going on in pandas, right? I want to understand what pandas is. You can always go to week 0 and go look at the tutorials on pandas and go with it, right? But in the most part, most of those things that you have in week 0, we're going to talk about them, right? And some of them, we might just talk about them for 5 or 10 minutes, right? And you get enough information to proceed with the class. The areas that I think are very important, right, would be the content, and I will try as much as possible to streamline the content that we put in week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? The content there are kind of important, right? All I can do is to look for a way to streamline it so that you don't really have a lot in those areas, but they are pretty interesting and they are useful. That's why if I if if time was as available as air, I would probably break the class into 2 or 3 classes, you know, but that's not exactly what we have. So don't, and then the other thing, I don't know how it is now, but in the days we went to school, right? The goal was to read the handout and mark every single thing because you're going to be graded by no. In the world where we are now, there's so much information that you don't need to do that. In fact, if you do that, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Because by the time you finish reading one handout, there's a new technology out there. And what you're reading right now is outdated. So what I want you to do is to get an overarching understanding of whatever the concept is, and not to redline everything like you're a lawyer trying to read through a contract. That's not the point. I don't know if that helps.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah. Toyin. Miss Toyin.
Hello, sir.
Okay, it's Mr. Okay. Is it a male or female? I don't know. I'm sorry.
It's a male, sir.
Okay, sir. You're welcome. Please go ahead, ask your question.
It's not really a question, it's a request, and I think I've
Oh,
said
sure.
it earlier. So
Yeah.
the echo, yes, with respect to that week zero materials,
Yeah.
I think I watched through some of them, like I said earlier, but downloading them will be more better. So thank you, please. As you have said, there's a way you can help. Although it's also due to network situation around here. The time I would have loved to sit down with them and watch them, we always have network issues around that period. That's
Okay.
why I would have preferred if I can download so that I will watch it at my leisure time to prepare myself toward it. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, so Tony, what I would do, I acknowledge some of those videos, some of those videos actually have multiple videos in them. So what I might do, because the space to put all of those videos now will become very difficult. What I would do is I will go look for videos that might just be maybe 30 minutes or an hour that can still speak to the same thing. Because my approach is if you if if you open people to some of the basics, they will take care of themselves. So I'm going to look for videos that would get you into the place, right? So that you can actually now take care of yourself. Good enough to know. A lot of times, 20% of what you know will help you do 80% of the work. So I would try to do that.
Thank you very much. But in addition, sir, if it will be the link, just we can get the link to get it downloaded. Just in addition to what you have said, sir.
Oh, the links are there already.
The
Okay,
downloading link.
okay, don't worry. I will get all the links. I'll put all of those things. I think I understand what you're saying. You're probably trying to get the link, but it's not allowing you get the link out.
Exactly.
Okay, don't worry. I'll do that. So I would make a sheet that would have the video for week 1, week 0, week 1, week 2, everything.
All right. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. That'd be great.
All right. So any other questions? Yes, no, maybe.
Yes, I have a
No,
question.
sir. We want your WhatsApp number, sir, and your email, if possible, sir.
Uh my email. Let me see. I'm thinking of what email to use now because like right now I have about 1,000 1,000 emails on my current email. Okay, you know what will happen? I will on the platform I'm going to put an email there with which you can reach me.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know I have my Osiri email, but I haven't been using it. So let me just go see if I can use that.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Sorry, and then your WhatsApp number, or are you on the platform? That's the data science platform. Is also to enable us to reach you, and then
yeah,
if you can join
Yes.
in some of the
Correct.
discussions.
yeah, no, I'm
Correct.
already there. I'm the one that created the platform. If you go check, you see me with a hat on my head.
Okay.
Noble at
Okay,
USC.
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Because so that's why I'm thinking of the WhatsApp one because this does exactly what WhatsApp will do, you know. So, all right. Are
Thank
we,
you
are
so
we-
much.
yes, sir. Are we all good for now?
Yes, I have a question. I've been raising my
Yes.
hand.
Yeah. Oh, sorry about that. Just go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for a very wonderful presentation. And I must say I'm really inspired by it.
Mm.
Because actually, when I read, I'll be trying to look out for what the syllabus is going to look like, and immediately I saw that it's 2 months, and I could really keen because I saw the outline, and I saw
Right.
that. So the first thing that came to my mind, how are we going to be able to do this in 1 month? So
Yeah.
when I saw 2 months, so when I saw 2 months, I was really relieved. And then the other thing that came to my mind was that okay, actually we are in for data science and information systems. That's what we are.
Right.
This is the core of the master's program itself. So when you say probably you should have if you had your way to be up to probably 12 weeks, but that would have been
The best.
personally that would have been the best thing I would have loved myself
Mm.
because I want to take in as much as possible from what you have outlined because none can be put aside, and
Okay.
especially from the first video, that guy they trying to, I mean, lay out the difference between data analysis and data science. In fact, by the time you outline everything, you see that you need competencies in several areas to be able to succeed as a data scientist. So you need to statistics, programming. What is it? Data visualization, cleaning. Scripting, and so many things. So that's really. I just want to make a request that if we are going to have 3 hours, maybe I don't know if this is workable. That was the model we used with Dr. Osiri, wherein he broke it into 2. You have 2 hours a particular time, then 1 hour another time. So that was the model we used. And then initially we were having 3 hours. So he also feared that the boredom, being overstretched. So he broke it into 2. So we have 2 hours, then we have 1 hour later.
So is it on the same day?
Not on the same day.
Okay.
Not on the same day.
Well, so I have to manage with other constraints that I have. So what I would say is we will start right now. Let's just start right now with the 3 hours, but we'll be having we'll have breaks in between. Maybe 10 minutes break in between, right? And then if the need arises, we might split it into days, because I have to look at my schedule. Saturday is one day that I know I'm able to do this because of other commitments, right? But let's just start. But again, I might be available sometimes to jump on Discord, even do a Zoom call or whatever if folks are having problems, right? But again, I want to send a lot of the burden back to you, because no matter what I do here, even if I'm Einstein, right? It's like, think of it like driving. I can teach you how to drive on Zoom. If you don't drive, you would never learn how to drive. That's just the bottom line, All right.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Lastly, sir, I asked the question initially, maybe on the chat, and the question is, your learning journey was really inspiring. How you were able to, especially your sojourn with IBM. Going through those various programs. I don't know if those programs are still available, because I knew in the past, I think I came across something like that. And then
they are partially still but when I put my email there, you just email me email me about any of those questions. Or I would actually suggest, how we have the discussion place, in case anybody needs anything, or there are, any actual discussion questions, let's just bring it there. I will be happy to. And if you want FaceTime, I can get on Zoom or on the video chat there, and we can talk, and I would respond to any other thing. Right?
I'll be very, very grateful for that. Thank you so much, sir.
All right.
Thank you so much, sir. We are grateful.
Yes, sir. Oludare, do you have a course-related question?
No, I just spoke now.
Oh, okay. So. Okay, just drop your hands if you can, if you may, because I just want to make sure I'm not ignoring anybody. Adana? Professor Mary.
Okay, just to still observe, we have done two months lecture, 3 hours for each session.
Right.
A lecture. That man is a bit elderly.
Okay.
Not sustainable leadership. There's a course we did last year.
Okay.
So it was November. We did that course for 2 months, 3 hours each.
Okay.
If the lecturer is struggling with 2 hours, we should accommodate it.
Okay.
And the lectures are recorded.
Right.
There are sometimes I may not be privileged to be on the lecture, that is
Right.
live lecture, I go back to my recorded session.
Okay.
I would love to learn a lot in this class.
Right.
So if it means if the lecturer is struggling with 2 hours, we may have to adjust to accommodate 3 hours, my thinking.
Yeah.
And usually that man was not taking 2 hours and then another schedule, 1 hour. It was a stretch. We could have breaks.
Okay. So we'll just go ahead. We'll go ahead and do like we mentioned, because I know a lot of people have stated that. So for those that can't do 2 hours, right? You can drop off and then just go back to the video when you find time, because that's my biggest challenge, how to get all of the information out to you. So let's do that. So if anybody has other additional questions, just for the sake of time, just drop the information on, because so anything you are saying in the chat, if I close it, I'm not even sure if I'm still going to have it. So the best place where you can put all of that is in Discord. Go to the general section on Discord and type whatever you have, and I will be responding to that. I'll be responding to that. Or see, you know what will happen? I'll create a channel that would say something like meet the instructor. So if you have a question
Yeah,
that is specific to me, just put it in meet the instructor, and I will
yeah, right.
answer.
I think that's okay.
Yeah. All right. So thank you so much. So let me just do a few things and then we just leave, even since we didn't quite plan to do a 3 hour class, and I'm sorry we've bumped up to this. So and I'm going to be sharing, let me share my screen to just walk you through a couple of things, and those are some of the things that I will share with us. Just 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. So let me share my screen. So I don't know if you can see my screen. So these are some of the sheets, right? Again, I'm going to be meeting immediately after this for those that haven't been able to set up their Jupyter notebook, or don't know how to, work with Jupyter notebook, because that's what I'm going to be doing here with them. So these are some of the notebooks that I've created. I've created for almost every class that we're going to have, and we're going to have. So these are, the, you know, like discussions, some of the discussions that will be going on, right? We talked about what is data science, interdisciplinary science, blah, blah, blah. I didn't expound on all of this. Key roles in data science and what they do, and then the data science life cycle. And I'm going to be discussing a little bit about the data science life cycle now. But that will be the nature of these Jupyter notebooks. And then here, right? Even though I haven't done the explanation, I told you one of the things I am doing in the other weeks, because here you don't have to understand anything. I just want to give you a general overview. In some of those other weeks, I would actually be breaking up, these codes and explaining exactly what's going on in most of the steps. In some cases, it's going to be line by line. In some cases, it will be things that are not very obvious, so that when you read it, you can run it and all of that. So for those that are not very familiar, right, you see this button for there's some noise coming from somewhere. Please check if you are, yeah. So for those of you that are not very familiar with this, right, one of the things you want to do when you get into and you can ask me or reach out to me to even do a video with you to walk you through it if you're having problems. I know there are so many of us, but hopefully after 1 week, a lot of the issues will be resolved. So if you click this, right, this is run. You're running a cell. This is where you stop a cell, and then you are restarting a kernel. This is you're running the whole page completely afresh, right? And then, so for example, let me show you something. Again, for those that already know it, I apologize. So this is how you place a cell. You see this cross plus, that's how you have created a cell, right? And that cell, there are at least two main things. There are three things I can put in that cell, but we're going to be focusing on just two. One of them is code, and the other one is markdown. Code markdown. If I want to run a code here, and I say x is equals to, say x is equals to 9, right? And maybe y is equals to, say, 34. Then I can come here and say z is equals to y times say x, right? And I put it in parentheses, plus y, right? And then notice where we are, we're in code, right? And then we have all of this. So if I want to run this, right, I know what my x is. There's x is assigned to 9 and y is assigned to 34. Z is assigned to y times x plus y. I can just run this. If I run this, oh, sorry, then I haven't put, now I'm asking it to say something like print z, or I can just say z, right? You see, I've gotten my value. I can move it up whatever I like, right? Just so I can run this. If I change the value of, say, it's 115 now. If I change the value of this to 107, I run it, I have 997, right? If I want to delete this, I go this way and delete it, right? So that's what other thing can I do? Notice that I typed all this text here, right? And I can decide, notice I click this cell, right? And all of a sudden I have markdown here because I'm not in code anymore. So if I just want to write text, you're trying to do an assignment, you can literally come here and type this out. Let me double click it so that you see what was there originally. If I double click it, look at what I have there. I have a hash. That hash will determine, okay, let me just take a second. So let's say I type hash week 1, right? And then I say hash, sorry, hash week 1. And then I say hash week 1, right? Because I realize there are people that know how to code, but they don't know how to use Jupyter Notebook. And there are people that don't even know how to code and they don't know how to use Jupyter Notebook. So if I run this, see what I get. Notice that hash, additional hash I'm putting there is reducing the size of this. So that's what's happening here, right? Let me just remove all of this. So that's what I have there. I want to create a section there. I write whatever it is, put a hash, and then, and the good thing is if you want to understand markdown syntax, right, you can actually come here and say something like markdown. It's just like HTML, right? For those of you that know HTML, syntax, you can just come in here and say markdown. Again, I say that's what I'm saying, that Google is your friend, right? You come here. If you just go through this, it will give you instructions. Look at what we were doing. Heading, one hash will give you this. This is the HTML equivalent, right? But in Markdown, this is what you have. Double hash will give you this, triple hash until you get to this level. Just focus on this and this, right? You know, these are this is another way of doing it, an alternative syntax that you can use, you know, and then as you go along, it shows you what you should do and what you shouldn't do. For example, you might do this and you're getting error. There needs to be a space here. So you do this, don't do this, blah, blah, blah. Then paragraphing, it shows you how to go about paragraphing, give some space, and then you go down. If there's anything you want to achieve there, especially if you're trying to use it for an assignment or whatever, you can always figure it out by just Googling that thing a little bit, right? So I think that's really mostly all that is to. And then if you want to, but the thing is, whenever you want to do anything on any cell, you have to highlight that cell. And I've highlighted it, and all of a sudden you see this blue line around it. So if I want to delete this cell, all I need to do is click, this trash sign, and it will go. Or I want to duplicate it. I'll create this, it will create a duplicate for me. Or another way of deleting it is clicking the X here. So, but just be careful, what you do. Thankfully, I'm going to have my own master copy. Whatever whatever happens will be on the other side, and you can always come back to come download a fresh copy, right? So that's about, and then once it's highlighted, you can just run it, right? So I've run that cell, I've run this cell, I've run this cell, and as it's running, right, you can see it moving, right? I'm here, this is how to make a table if it was something you wanted to make, but this is a little, you have to take some time to do this, right? And then down, 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 and this is your code. Now, one of the things you're going to encounter, and I'm going to talk about it maybe hopefully later. So think of it, if I open my Windows, my computer, if I open my computer right now, right, I can't just start using Word without first of all opening Word, right? Or any of the other programs. So, but I have to start first of all by installing those programs for it to be on my computer. So assume that this cell is your computer, right? First of all, if you're going to use a program, you have to install that program. And after you've installed that program, right? So to install the program in this place is already installed, right? But if you had to install, it would be something like pip install, and then you do something like pandas or whatever the name of the program is. That's how you install it, right? And if you are in doubt, just go to Google, type how to install this on Jupyter notebook, and it will show you how to install it. Most times is exclamation mark pip install, then the name of the program. That's the installation. Once you are done installing the program, the next thing that you want to do, if you want to call that program, right, which is like you already have Windows installed, you want to open Windows, all you do is you go and you double click the window icon on your desktop or your application window or wherever. You click it and then it opens window. Now you can't work on Windows until and unless you open window. So here, what we're doing is your way of opening window here, or of opening Pandas. Pandas is one of the packages, right? And we're going to talk about what it is and what it does, which is some of the things I already put in week 0. To open Pandas, you start with import. Import is the keyword that is used to open Pandas. You said open Pandas at PD. PD is just to say this is a shortcut. Without as PD, if you just leave it as pandas, it will still work. But in this case, because you don't want to keep typing out pandas, that's why you said as at PD. This is matplotlib, right? This is another package, which is that helps you do plots, right? We decide to use a particular method in matplotlib, right? And you click, that's why you have .pyplots. It's a particular method within this package, and then you put it here as PLT. And then import Seaborn. Seaborn is an advanced data visualization package within Python. This is a data visualization package, but this is a more advanced data visualization package. So what just happened is almost like we went into our computer and we opened these three programs. That's all that's happening. And then we now created some data, right? This is the data, and we want to set up that data, in different columns and rows, right? That's what we have here. We have the customer data. We have a customer ID. This is customer number one, number two, number three, number four, number five. And then the regions. We line up the regions, the last sales, last month's sales, and then this month's sales. One of the things you will notice is you have this apostrophes around certain words here, right? For those that are not familiar with Python, please wait after the class if you have the time, so that we can come up with a strategy of how, because we can't spend time here teaching Python at all. You have to do additional work to be able to get on speed with that. But then we have all of these parentheses, or around all of these words that are red. It's because they are strings, and that's why you have all of that. But anyway, this is just your data. And then this is what you have. We are now converting. This is your pandas. Remember the PD? This is a specific method, right, that is used to convert this data into a data frame, right? Which is what's happening here. That's what you're doing here, And then you also try to get some information around this. We will talk about all of this, right? So you run this, you have this, and then this is where a code, right? You set up the code to generate. This is what's going on here and all of that. But that won't be the total subject of everything we are going to do today. But what I'm just going to do is just talk about the data life cycle today, and then maybe hopefully we'll come back to the codes much later, because we just have a few more minutes. So we've talked a little bit about data science, what data science is, and then the next is some of the key roles in data science. We have your data scientist, which we've already talked about extensively, which is the guy that builds, the guy or lady that builds models and interprets data, right? That's what a data scientist is. Some people have included the designation that the data scientist is actually also the person that builds machine learning and data science models, algorithms, right? But that's kind of depends on how advanced that data scientist is. But essentially, they build models. So you use algorithms. Algorithms, once you run data into algorithms, they produce like the models, right? And the model is what really solves the problems. So that's what the data scientist does. And then you have the analyst, right? Where, remember when we were talking about descriptive analytics, that's mostly the kind of things that your data analyst does. They are not focused on building models. They are not focused. You just give them the data. They will be able to study the data, understand the data, build dashboards, and create all the information and a decision support system, right, for leadership to be able to make decisions. That's what your data analyst does. But then the data engineer, what they do is actually create a pipeline. So let's say I build a 10-story building, right? One way to get to the 10th floor is to always use a bucket of water, fill that bucket of water, and then climb up the steps up there, right? Another way to do it more efficiently is to build pipes, right? A system of pipes and pumps and all of that to take the water to each floor, right? So most of the work that is done by the scientists and all these other people, right? It's the data engineer that helps build out all of the pipelines and the resources that's required for these other folks to do their work. And then you also have the machine learning engineer who focuses a lot with building out machine learning solutions, some of which we'll be talking about later. So sometimes a data scientist does almost everything every other person does here, right? But for efficiency, we tend to break up some of these roles sometimes. For example, a data scientist actually builds machine learning solutions or models, right? But as you can actually break this into several other roles, and then you get into some organizations. Some organizations have specific titles that they give to different peoples, and sometimes what they are doing actually crosses each other. But this is a general overview of what you might be doing as a data scientist in an organization. And then we have the data science life cycle. Again, like I mentioned, data science is not about knowing how to use pandas. It's not about knowing how to use Python, because they are just tools. And I promise you, you might come back next year and a lot of these tools have changed. You will be working with different tools as a data scientist. So tools are important because you don't want the tools to be an obstruction to your work. But again, you can drive you can drive a 12-seater bus today, and tomorrow you're driving a 14-seater, and next tomorrow you're driving a luxury bus, right? The important thing is to get the people to where they are going to. So as part of your data science life cycle, one of the things you want to do is you want to understand the problem. What exactly is the problem I'm trying to solve? Then you have the issue of collecting the data. Now, sometimes organizations have data, all kinds of data. You come in there, they're like, we have this problem and we have tons of data. A data scientist will come in there and ask a couple of questions and realize all of the data they have is not even relevant to the questions they are asking. Now, if you're saying you want to find a, a needle in a haystack, right? And there are so many haystacks all over the place, right? You can spend all your time looking through all of the haystacks. If the needle is not there, then you would never find the needle. So part of narrowing down your problem is to make sure you are giving or set the organization up to collect the kind of data that would answer the question you're looking for, to help the organization answer. That's your data collection, right? And then after you get that data, you have to also prepare that data. Now, after, especially when you collect data from the field and all of that, sometimes, for example, let's say you might go out in the field, you work in healthcare and you're supposed to go to the field. You put on your vest, World Health Organization, and you go out there and you're collecting data. You collect, the addresses, the numbers, or you have some field people helping you do it, the age of the people. They might come back with 1,000 lines filled out of Excel sheets. You run a query, all of a sudden, 100 of those columns, right, for age do not even have the age of the people. So if I'm trying to take the average of those ages, right, I want to be able to make a reasonable assumption of what the ages of those people could be by inferring from other data that is around. And sometimes you might see a place, right, where there is supposed to be a number, and all of a sudden, instead of age, you will now see something like and. Like, what has and got to do with age? A number. So you need to be able to clean out all of those things, right? And that's where your data preparation happens. And maybe there are 10 Excel sheets. What can I do to get all of those sheets together? Because maybe 10 different people want to collect it. How do I get all of that into one place, right? So that I can run the query I'm about to run. All of that happens under your data preparation. And if you want to do some of those things manually, it might be challenging to do it. The question is, how do I go about doing all of that? Then you have the modeling, which is where you now begin to apply some of your tools in trying to, that's the entire thing about, you have to decide what algorithm you need to use, to develop your models and all of that. That's where all of that modeling happens. And then the next stage is your evaluation, where you are, and there are two different kinds of evaluation. One of those is where you're actually evaluating the model, right? So in manufacturing, they have something they call process improvement, and then you have your product improvement, right? So if I have a tool that is not well calibrated, right, it begins to give me some kind of systemic error. So if I don't calibrate that system, and I'm trying to develop say a material that is 30 centimeters long, and that machine is off by 2 centimeters, everything I produce is going to be not 100. If it was supposed to be 30 centimeters that I'm producing, and then I have an additional 2 centimeter off, everything is going to be 32, 32. And that means all of everything I've created is destroyed. So you want to be able to fix the problem with that machine and whatever processes are involved. That's completely different from looking at the quality of your product, right? Same thing here. You want to be able to make sure that the model that you are going to use is accurate. Because if your model is accurate, then the product, a lot of the systematic errors that would arise in the product will not exist anymore. And then you have other things to deal with the product. So in evaluation, you want to do both the model evaluation, and then you also want to do the actual evaluation of the results of your data. And then you have the communication, which is your storytelling. Again, if you do all of these things and you can't tell your story and communicate your story with a very clear narrative, you might end up having, even though you have an excellent product and result, you might communicate it wrongly and then it won't be accepted. And then once it's accepted, then the next thing you want to do is you want to deploy it, right? So that it can be available for production and then for monitoring, right? So I created a table here, right, which is a summary table that tells you each of the stages, what the key outcomes are in each of these stages, and then what specific tools are used in each of these stages. Now, you don't have to know these tools like you don't have to know them at the back of your hand. But again, when you have a tool, all you need to do is to go online, study what the tool is, go to YouTube, study the tool, and then use it to try to solve the problems that you have been tasked to solve. Because you might come back tomorrow and some of these tools are gone, and then there are new, better and more efficient tools. So my point is, never get hung on the tools. This is where your focus is, the stage where you are and the specific outcome. Some other person might come up with different tools to do the same thing. And some of these tools, especially things around evaluation, which are not actual tools, they are mathematical tools. I will be discussing some of those things with you, and then we get to understand them. This you already, would know, like pandas, NumPy. We'll talk some more about them. So, we don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to share these slides with you, because what I did here is some of the things I talked about right now, I now expanded on them, where I talked about the problem definition stage, what it is. So let me make this perhaps bigger so that 1, 2, 3. Let me make it bigger so that it's really obvious what this is. So the problem definition stage, I said, is the foundation of any successful data science initiative. And what's the goal of the problem definition stage? It states, and then what are some of the key actions that are taken in this stage? For example, we need to engage the stakeholders to align on what the business objectives are. You don't want to lose sight of what the business objectives are while you're doing data science. You want to translate the business question into a data science problem, right? Because if you understand what the problem is, then you begin to think about what data science tools am I going to use to solve this problem, like regression, classification, clustering. Those are all examples of tools that you can deploy in trying to solve these problems. Of course, we are going to go through each of these data science problems, and then you're going to define the success metrics, right? The issues around the accuracy, because you want to remember, I was talking about the validation or the validation or evaluation, right? You want to be able to know what criteria you are choosing. You're choosing. So for example, right, something like an accuracy of 70% might be correct in some instances. But for example, if I'm doing a surgery for someone, right, I will be shooting for something like 99, 100% accuracy, if at all possible. But there are certain use cases where accuracy metrics, right? You know, it's not critical, so they are not critical applications, right? And all of those kind of things. And then even from a business point of view, what are some of the success metrics from the business side? What is it? What would success be for the owner, or the person that is giving me this business, right? So an example is uh, okay, that's a telecom company. Let me just say a telecom company. Sorry, you might see some of these errors sometimes. It's just human. And I started working on this not too long ago. A telecom company wants to reduce churn. Like we talked about churn, the data science framing becomes, can we predict if a customer will churn in the next 30 days? So you have to be able to be kind of definitive about that. So I think we're going to call it off right now, but then I'll make this available to you. You want to be able to go through some of this, these are all the different, I would update all the others like this. These are all the specific stages in the project, sorry, data science process. And this, for example, here, the subtask, some of the things that need to be done, and specific example, the modeling, you select the algorithm, split the data, train the models, and then do the hyperparameter tuning and all of that. And then for evaluation, these are all tools for evaluation. And then the communication, these are all the tools like Power BI, Tableau, and then Matplotlib, and all of that. So you're going to stop there. And then there is the part about analytical thinking that we're also going to talk about. And I give us code problems, right, to analyze the issues of analytical thinking. We're still in week 1. That's why I'm scared how far we'll go, because you see, we have a lot to cover. So questions, comments. We have 4 minutes, and I won't want to take us beyond the 3 hours. I know we've taken a whole bunch of our time today.
So we're enjoying it, please.
All right, sir. Thank you.
So
So look out for any emails and updates in the Google Classroom. And then if you have any questions or you need something, meet me in Discord. Yeah, Sashana, yeah. I'll talk to you. A couple of things are already there. What you need to install. So yeah, I think that's where we're going to stop right now. Please, by all means, look at week 1, watch some of the videos there. I put like 1 or 2 articles that's, tries to explain what data science is, and some other things that are there. Please go through all of that. And then look out if there is an assignment, which I expect there would be. I will put out information on all the channels, something you have to work on this week. And then we'll go from there. Eventually, I'm going to break us up in group. The other thing is, right now, the Zoom link is completely open. That means anybody can come in here and do anything, right? So the next time you log in, right, it would actually ask you to provide your name, at least an email. But I didn't want to create that burden for anybody right now. And you would only need to do it once so that we know exactly who is in the group, and to ensure the security of the group and all of that too. All right. Thank you so much. If there's any question, you're welcome to respond, ask me. But in the next 2 minutes, we're going to be switching off, and I would welcome those that have technical problems or those that don't have any background in Python. Let's have a few minutes talk before I leave. Or you do have a background in programming, but like it's shaky, you're not sure what you're doing. Yeah, I would like to talk to you. Okay, so for those that want to go, you're welcome to. It's okay, you can leave now. Thank you so much. I appreciate your patience sitting down for 3 hours. And next time we're not going to be sitting, we would have breaks in between so that people can go get a drink, get do things and
And
then
with online refreshment.
yeah, something like that. So if I can get a cup of coffee, I'll just put it up there so that.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you. Appreciate every one of you. So I'm going to stop the recording and then we would have the chats. All right. Thank you.